Your best friend has recommended DIM, your hairdresser has recommended a multivitamin, and you've read about black cohosh and now you really don't know what to do. You've already got a cupboard full of unused supplements, you don't want to waste any more money, but something's got to change, am I right? If so, stick around because I'm going to share with you some easy wins for your estrogen dominant state in the form of supplements, herbs, and homeopathic remedies. So let's start with supplements. The two big supplements when it comes to estrogen dominance that are always mentioned are DIM and calcium D-glucarate. In my last video, I talked about eating cruciferous vegetables because they are so rich in DIM, and to be honest with you, without running a Dutch test, I would always start with food sources of DIM. And the reason I say that is because when we detox excess estrogen, it has to go through two liver pathways, phase 1 and phase 2. DIM helps with phase 1. Phase 2 actually breaks down into two separate pathways, sulfation and glucuronidation. If you're taking DIM and you don't have a problem in phase 1, but instead you have a problem with sulfation or glucuronidation, then taking DIM could actually make your symptoms worse. And the same goes with calcium D-glucarate. If you don't have a problem with that pathway, taking it could make your symptoms a whole lot worse. So for that reason, the Dutch test is one of the two tests that I run within my program Haywire Hormone Fix. So I can see exactly what's going on with the liver detox pathways and where support is needed. So what would I recommend instead then? Actually, I recommend starting with the foundational pieces and getting those right. And that means supporting hormone balance as a whole, supporting the liver, and supporting the gut. And so that would look like, firstly, magnesium. This is the key hormone supplement. It supports the entire endocrine system, your entire hormonal system, and most people are deficient in it. So for estrogen clearance, for example, we need to have a really good, healthy bowel movement every single day. Being constipated can lead to an estrogen dominant state. Magnesium helps to keep you regular. Magnesium also supports the liver and it supports estrogen balance as a whole. It acts as a calming tonic for the central nervous system. It helps to balance our cortisol levels. And when we're stressed, when we have those high cortisol levels, we burn through magnesium. So most people need to be supporting their magnesium levels. So if in your estrogen dominant state, you're struggling with constipation, with stress, with period cramps, with mood swings, or with the opposing low progesterone state, you have anxiety, sleep issues, or headaches, I would be thinking about adding in some magnesium. And a quick win for you, the homeopathic tissue salt MagPhos or magnesium phosphate is a fantastic remedy for period cramps, particularly those period cramps where it's better for a hot water bottle, better for lying on your side, pulling your knees up into your chest. Okay, the next supplement I would be thinking about would be omega-3 fatty acids. Again, it's another supplement that's going to support your endocrine system as a whole and your hormone production. So our hormones are made from cholesterol, so we need those healthy fats for hormone production. But omega-3 fatty acids support that estrogen dominant state by helping the liver do its job properly and also by reducing inflammation, which can be a driver of estrogen dominance. With estrogen dominance, we often see an inflamed state, which is often then aggravated with excess stress hormones like putting fuel on the fire. Hence, we see those heavy, painful periods, the flooding periods, and we see mood swings with lots of irritability and rage. Okay, next up we've got B6. Now I said the Dutch test was one of the two tests that I run in my Haywire Hormone Fix program. The other is a hair tissue mineral analysis, and I would normally use this test to look at whether or not to add in B6. But actually there's a ton of research on the benefits of B6 for an estrogen dominant state that I am confident to suggest it here for you. But always look at B6 in the form of P5P. So B6 helps an estrogen dominant state firstly by increasing progesterone production, because don't forget in perimenopause we've got that estrogen dominant state because progesterone has fallen off a cliff. So we want to do things to also boost progesterone levels, and B6 helps with that. But additionally, it supports the liver, it helps the liver as a whole, but more specifically that phase 2 detox pathway. And it can be really useful for histamine intolerances and mood swings that we see with that estrogen dominant state. A B6 deficiency can cause an estrogen dominant state, and the pill, the oral contraceptive pill, strips the body of B6. So if you have a history of pill usage, this might be something that you should consider. And even if you were on the pill years ago, it is still something worth considering. I am regularly detoxing the pill from women in perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. It's a toxin. It leaves its imprint in our body for years after we stop taking it. And the final supplement, of course, would be a probiotic. I did talk about that in my last last video, so you can check that out. But with probiotics, you definitely get what you pay for, so make sure you can get the best probiotic that you can afford with multiple bacterial strands. And the gut likes diversity, so don't ever stay on the one probiotic for years on end. Mix it up. Okay, so some herbs for you to try out. I won't go into great detail because I have covered these in previous videos, which I will link to in the description below. The first one is milk thistle. Milk thistle is a fantastic herb. It supports the entire liver and the two pathways that I keep mentioning. It's easily accessible. You can get it in most health food stores. Buy it as a tincture, take it morning and night. I think from memory it's something like 15 drops morning and night, but just check the instructions. The next herb is Agnus castus. Agnus castus has been shown to boost progesterone level and support estrogen dominance in that it helps with breast tenderness, short and heavy cycles. It helps to regulate the cycle, and it really can help with mood swings, particularly if you've got a lot of irritability. And of course, it wouldn't be a video if I didn't mention my favorite herb, maca. Maca is a phytoestrogen, so that means it helps to balance out estrogen levels. It's full of fiber, so it supports the gut, it supports the bowel, gives this energy. It's said to be good for the libido. It's also an adaptogen, so it helps us to adapt to stress. So again, a fantastic herb to include for an estrogen dominant state. So of course, it goes without saying, if you are on any medications, including HRT, please do check for contraindications before starting any supplement or herbs. And if you're ever unsure, please check with your healthcare provider. And finally, some homeopathic remedies. I've got 3 remedies to help with estrogen dominant state. As always, with homeopathy, the remedy has to match you and your symptoms. If that doesn't happen, then the remedy won't work, and then you'll think homeopathy doesn't work. But if you match yourself and your symptoms to the remedy picture, it will work like a charm. So these are the 3 remedies that I use quite often. There are hundreds more. So if these 3 remedies don't sound like you, then don't despair. There will be a remedy to help. You might just have to consult with a homeopathic practitioner. So the first remedy is Kali carb. On the mental emotional level, they tend to be quite dutiful. They're very responsible, but with that, they can become quite obstinate or dogmatic. And with the estrogen dominant state, it is a great remedy for breast tenderness, for heavy flooding periods, and for painful periods. So they get PMS with breast tenderness, bloating, and colicky pains. And they get long, heavy periods with pains that are described like labor pains. And the pains will go into the back, into the hips, and down into the thighs. They can also have severe backache before and during the periods. The breasts are extremely sore and swollen before the periods. They can get anxiety, and they'll feel that anxiety in the stomach. And with Kali carb, they struggle between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. So they might have some waking at that time. Their period cramps might be worse at that time, and they might have flooding periods at that time. Everything tends to be worse 2 to 4 a.m. Next up is Sabine or Sabina officinalis. They tend to be quite morose and melancholic with their period picture, and their periods are profuse like gushing hot water. The period will be a mix of bright red blood and dark clots, and there'll be pain with the period from the sacrum upwards. So they might get pains that feel like shooting up into the vagina. So they can have hemorrhaging periods, clotted periods, and all of that will be worse for movement. And they're worse during the menopause. They're worse for heat, so for the heat of the bed, in a hot room, hot air, and of course better for cold air, better for being cool. And the pains are said to be better for laying on the back with the limbs extended. And the final remedy that I've got for you is our homeopathic black cohosh, which you might have heard in regards to a herbal supplement for estrogen dominant states. It's known as semisafuga, or simic for short. Their mental emotional state is one of sadness, of dread, doom and gloom, as if there's a black cloud over everything. They may be fearful that something bad is going to happen. And the periods are heavy and painful. The more flow, the more pain. And the pains can be in the womb, ovary area, and they can travel down into the thighs. It also covers headaches, joint pain, and muscle tension. So there's your 3 remedies. They're the remedies that I often use. I, of course, use lots of other remedies. As I said, there's hundreds of remedies. So if you don't resonate with any of those remedies, do contact a homeopathic practitioner or even a homeopathic pharmacy. They might be able to help. So my approach to an estrogen dominant state would be first homeopathic remedies and nutrition. nutrition, then I would be looking at herbs, and then the final layer would be supplements. And supplements, I do like to use food grade supplements. So if you haven't seen my previous video on foods to help clear estrogen dominance, make sure to grab that next. And if you have seen it, take a look at my next video on 3 hidden causes of estrogen dominance in perimenopause.